What's the scariest story you heard a child tell about their imaginary friend? My oldest when she was 4. She had an imaginary friend named Jack who lived under our back porch. And he liked to shove sticks down people's throats. I discouraged playtime with Jack. A parenting decision there. My son was 2 to 3 and always had a bunch of imaginary friends. The most frequently mentioned were Monkey Boy and the Cowboy. When my son was 2, he woke up one night screaming. I ran in his room and he was terrified. He kept pointing at the corner and saying that Monkey Boy was bad. I ended up picking my son up and putting him in bed to sleep with me. The next time he was 3 and we were taking a walk with his younger sister in the stroller. I'm pushing the stroller and he's walking just behind me. He keeps saying, "Ow, stop it," or "Please stop." I keep looking behind me at him and see nothing. I stop and ask him what's hurting him. He says, "The cowboy is hurting me, mommy." I tell him that there is no cowboy by us. He says, "Yes, there is. It's the cowboy in my head." Kids are creepy sometimes. When my daughter was a toddler, she randomly started talking about a man named Don. She always described him the same way and didn't seem scared at all, despite bringing him up every day. She didn't go to daycare and we didn't know anyone named Don. Then one day she got completely freaked out. Wouldn't walk around the house alone in case she ran into Don. Wouldn't sleep in her own room. And would talk about how she hated him because he said mean words to her all the time. About a year into mean Don, we bought a new house. Once we moved, she never spoke of him again. My son had this imaginary friend, Gunga. She lived in the nearby pond. Had duck feet. Hair all over her face. Ate through a slit in her neck and we were expecting her any minute for dinner. He was totally chill with this horrific monster idea. Yet he had recurring nightmares about a puppy coming into his room. Kids are weird. My cousin had an imaginary friend who she said used to live in the fireplace and was red and patchy, as if she was burnt. Apparently she was a little girl who wore funny clothes that looked like olden day clothes. Still spooks me out. My youngest niece had an imaginary friend, and when my sister told me about it, she said, "Ask her what she looks like." Okay. What's she look like? Broken pieces. Oh. Why's she broken, sweetie? She fell from our tree. Nope. Sorry sis, you're on your own. Reminds me of one thing I apparently said once. While driving by an abandoned house. Me. That man's sad. Dad. Why's he sad? Me. Because they put dirt on him. My cousin was a few years younger than me and he had an imaginary friend called Mookie. Mookie wasn't human, but some kind of alien/monster thing. Used to freak me out when I'd hear a noise behind me at my grandparents' house and my cousin would calmly say, "It's only Mookie. He just wants to see you." Haha. Mookie is the name of a famous clown I see when on holiday at the circus, so I can only see him and his sketches when reading this one. Nice breather from all the potential demons. A kid said he didn't want to go to church because my invisible friend says he can't follow me in there. Now that's peeped up. Bro. Me. His name was Ricky. He lived in the mirrors and wouldn't let me change. I vividly remember saying something along the lines of, "Ricky, please don't watch me while I'm changing. Ricky, go to a different mirror. I have to take a bath." Like, what? I'm talking to MS. Lady. Who's MS? Lady. The white lady with black eyes and long fingernails. Cue me searching for the nearest exorcist. And the long Long teeth. I'd start swinging. My friends' kids used to wake up at night and tell us there is an old lady in their bedroom. Beeping best not be. I have a younger relative who used to talk about her imaginary friend. MS. Mim. MS. Mim looks down on everyone. Not because she's arrogant but because she is always floating high up on the ceiling. MS. Mim is always wearing her favorite white dress and holding a big clear towel, a wedding dress and veil. MS. Mim's neck is always bent. MS. Mim cries a lot. MS. Mim hates our grandma. When we mentioned this to grandma, she told us she had a friend who hanged herself in her wedding dress after her groom left her at the altar. I asked that same relative if she remembers MS. Mim. But all she could recall was that weird crying she heard sometimes. When my cousin and I were kids, she casually mentioned she had a friend named Harold who lived in the picture frames. Their entire hallways was lined with picture frames. And she would always hold her breath when she walked by them. Anyway, one day we were hanging out in their unfinished basement and she pointed to a beam in the far back corner and stated very bluntly that that's where Harold sleeps. When my older brother was about 3 to 4 late 70s, he told my mom very matter-of-factly that there was a ghost behind the TV at my grandma's house, old-style floor TV, and that he was friendly like Casper. But it wasn't Casper. There have been lots of weird things heard/seen at that house over the years. My youngest son also used to sound like he was saying real words/sentences when he was just barely old enough to even babble, witnessed by multiple people, and when he got a little older and could actually talk, he would casually and randomly mention the man in my closet. He never seemed scared of him, so I was just like, okay, cool. My son has always talked about the green lights that come visit him. 4-year-old. The green lights came to me again last night. Us. Oh. Okay. Are they friendly? 4-year-old. They don't have mouths. Sometimes they go into your room. When I was 6, I had a friend who was a little younger than me, and her imaginary friend was not a very nice person. She used to tell me how her imaginary friend, Mr. G, made her hurt between her legs and how he tasted funny and made funny noises. She was absolutely terrified of him. She told me Mr. G was very, very tall, with no hair, and very mean eyes. After a few sleepovers, my mom wouldn't let me have sleepovers at her house anymore, and then she and her mom moved away. Her father didn't go with them. He was a very tall man with no hair and mean eyes. That's so sad. My co-worker's daughter told me that her imaginary friend Lisa said, "Good people die too. You're good. Watch out." TBH. Lisa speaks good facts. She's telling the girl that she's good, but not invincible. Lisa is okay in my book. Not an imaginary friend per se. But my niece as a toddler made a pretty convincing case that she was reincarnated. From the time she could lisp her first words, she carried on about someone called Turtha or Trutha or something odd like that. Sometimes she called herself Turtha, and a fair number of her dolls had those or similar names. By the time she was 2 or 3, she talked non-stop about her other mommy and her sister, and how she, Turtha, and her other mommy and sister were in a car accident and then were in the hospital and her other mommy died. I mean, she wouldn't quit about it. My sister neither discouraged her from telling the stories nor encouraged her. She would always finish up with the punchline, "Then after my other mommy died, then I was in your stomach." Imagine a little child, big eyes looking up at you, rattling on about this. She pretty much stopped by the time she was 6. And by 8 didn't remember this at all. We figured she had forgotten her reincarnation. Geez, my son is doing something similar, telling me about his other family. They had a red home and he had a mom, dad and baby sister. He tells me what their home looked like. And that a gang called the Cutters came and sliced his family up and they all died. He said he went and killed all the Cutters, then he had to jump to this earth and now he's with me. He even says he misses them. The oddly specific details are what get me. My mum told me that when I was younger, maybe 3 to 4, I was looking out the window into the front yard laughing. When she asked me what I was laughing at, I flat out said to her, the people dancing outside with no faces. Mum said she just kept looking ahead at the TV and acted as if she had never asked. So this is actually my story of when I was a kid. I had an imaginary friend named Derek who was a carbon copy of me. We were completely identical. I played with Derek for years. Longer than what normal kids do. But he would always look at my mom and older sister with a sense of sadness. Eventually he went away. 23 years later, I'm digging through my mom's safe to grab some paperwork she's kept for me, and I see a stillborn death certificate for a boy named Derek who shared my birthday. It was only then I found out I was actually a twin, and my twin, Derek, died during birth. Creepy, right? Super creepy. And sad.